Hello, my people. I'm coming to you today from my dining room. I got some Easter stuff out. And I have the flu. Yes, I do. I have the flu. And the only reason I have my face on today is that I had to get another review out, which will go out really, really quickly. And so I had to talk about that a little bit. I'd already filmed parts of it, but so I did this whole long vlog and situation last weekend, and I talked about, growing older. I had a birthday to me. Happy birthday to me. Anyway, I had a birthday and I turned 47. The day before my birthday, I had growths and whatnot taken from sundry parts of my sundries. And so I talked about that, and I had filmed this whole long thing about growing older, and then I thought it sounded maudlin and kind of ridiculous. And, it was letters to my younger self. And that sounded ridiculous. And anyway, I did this on Monday was our co-op day, and so I did this whole thing, and we were driving, and we were talking, and I filmed myself a little bit at McDonald's because I wanted to be cute and cool, like the cool vlogger people, which I'm not I'm a writer, not a vlogger necessarily. And so I did all that, and we did Just Size Co-op, and I talked about how wonderful they are. And we went to the Dollar Tree, and it was our Monday night meal. We have a free community meal, and so I did that. Well, I went over, I took a nap, I laid down and took a nap because I was tired. Mondays made me tired. And I laid down. I was going to be over there at 4. I think I got there at 4:30. Of course, it's across the street, mind you. We are in the parsonage, all right? So I did that, walked over, and I felt horrible. I'd had a headache all day, but I thought, man, these Mondays are killing me. But then again, there were people I knew that had been sick. So you always wonder, am I feeling that way because I heard half of Josiah's financial, class was out at co-op. Of course, that was the Monday before, I think. I don't think it was this Monday. But I went over, and the lady, precious lady who runs our Monday night community meal said to me, because I said, I can't decide if I feel bad, why I feel bad. And she said, why don't you just go home? We'll be good. Now, keep in mind then, and we normally have a great crew of volunteers, but that particular night, everybody was gone, except her and her husband and my husband, the pastor, who usually does not help. I think he did desserts. So they wound up helping, but I knew, I felt horrible. And initially I thought it was a virus, like upper respiratory, because you know how the flu just kind of knocks you out. I mean, you're thinking I'm going to die any second now. At least that's been my experience with the flu. And I had a flu shot. So finally, Wednesday, my mama said, you need to go and get checked out, because even if it is something, they need to make sure that you're on they're proactive about it. And I am a walking mess. I'm a hot mess. I'm a hot mess. Primarily, I have some orthopedic issues, but I also have been in treatment for cardiomyopathy since I was 27. Yeah. So that causes all sorts of issues. I have to watch my blood pressure all the time, and I'm diabetic, so I have to watch my blood sugar. So I'm a mess. So my blood pressure started going up, and I thought, so I went ahead and I went to the aftercare clinic because they could not get me in to see my regular girl. She's a nurse practitioner. She's wonderful. Shout out to Gretchen. And so she said, I was telling her what was going on, and she said, that sounds like the flu. And I was like, anyways, sure enough, I had the flu. So they went ahead and put me on Tamiflu, which has caused me, I've been kind of weepy, cryy, and I had insomnia the first night I took it, so I've tried to take it a little early, but I'm worn out. It is now Sunday, and I'm home by myself, and I put makeup on and recorded my other review, so I've got to get this done before the muffin and Josiah come home, because the muffin will be very mad at me if I've been out of bed or even put makeup on. So I want to talk a little bit about self-care. Ironically, I want to talk about self-care. It is something I have been better at. It is something we all need, especially as mothers and wives and women and homeschool mamas. For those of you who homeschool, you know what it is. And those of you who have chronic conditions, it's a constant battle, isn't it? You feel like you're, at least this is the way I felt. I felt like I'm constantly on the edge of just tipping over, tipping over. And this year or two have been really particularly hard for me. We lived in Indiana, I think it'll be 3 years in September. And I have gained so much weight since we've moved here. And there are probably a number of reasons for that, some which I have participated in. But there also is that fine line that some of us have those systems that one thing can just knock us off our rocker and send like a chain of reactions of just mess. And I think that's why it's so important to take care of yourself. I know for me, I get lulled into a sense of, a sense of wellness. I never feel good. I never feel really good. And I always hurt because of my bones. But I push through. You know how that is. You push through and you do, and some days you just do great. You think I'm great. Or there's that cycle that you feel bad and you're not well, but you don't take care of yourself because you're too tired to take care of yourself. So I understand. And so this is just a little chat for those of us who are having a hard time taking care of ourselves. I think it's a way for me to kind of hash out, remind myself of some of the things I know to do, and commiserate with some of you who might be feeling the same things. I think it's hard. It's hard. And I think probably I've kind of recognized some of my follies, even in the last week since I've been in bed and having to rest. And I've done a lot of YouTube watching of people and been inspired in the right ways. You can do a lot of YouTube comparison shopping, and you look at people's homes or their lifestyles and their makeup and how they present themselves, and it can be really hard to see past that, because we all have stuff. We all have stuff, and we have to take responsibility for it. So this is me taking responsibility for it. I think part of my issues are routines. I need to settle back into my routines. I am really I'm a fly by the seat of my stretchy pants kind of girl. It's hard to, there's something in me that's impulsive. Not impulsive to the point that, I don't manage to get things done, but I have a hard time, which I taught school. I went to college. I did all those things that you had to have a schedule for. I was a very, very good student. I think I was a very good teacher. So it's hard. Most of my education was with little bitty kids. So you had to keep those babies on a schedule, so it's hard. It's hard kind of going against what you feel is natural to do. But I've been inspired that it doesn't mean I have to change that part, that creativity part of myself, or those kinds of things. It means I get to enhance those things. So that's what I'm telling myself. Plus, I think it'll make me feel better. So I think the first thing I want to talk about is the routine. Are we taking our meds or vitamins at the same time? Are we getting up in the morning at relatively the same time? Are we, doing those things in a decently and timely order, or are we just all over the place? And I can tell you, as someone with a chronic illness, being all over the place does not help. I remember even I was always really kind of nervous to go stay somewhere, because if there were a big flight of stairs, if the room didn't have certain amenities, it was very hard for me to be there. It just made everything a lot more difficult. Even now, when we go on vacation or even go to a family member's home, it's hard for me because I don't have the same kind of energy level like everybody else. And I always feel guilty about that because I don't have to explain. I don't want to have to cry. I don't want to have to, going away to other people's homes and, they eat a lot differently than we do. I'm not as in charge of myself. And so I realized that some of that you have to just take a stand about. You have to be good to yourself in those regards. So a routine definitely for me is going to be consistent with my routine. I will say that I do cardiac rehab 3 times a week. And sometimes I'll just get out of bed and go to cardiac rehab and come home and I haven't eaten and I haven't taken my meds and I haven't drinking any water except cardiac rehab. And I feel like I'm already exhausted and I haven't felt accomplished in any way. And I feel bad because I haven't been doing what I need to do. So I think getting a handle on some of that kind of stuff is going to help me. Sleep is such a very important thing. And there's some of you and some of us who, unfortunately, if we have children of a certain age, that's just not going to get it. I decided, my husband he doesn't require as much sleep as I do. And the man can sleep on, he can lay down and immediately be asleep. I am not that way. And, I'm a very light sleeper. If he gets me used as the bathroom, I wake up. If he turns too much, I wake up. Sometimes he's a sleep talker, I wake up. So in that regard, that's harder. So I have to make sure that I leave my body plenty of time to rest and to sleep. I do a certain number of things. We don't have a TV in our room. So we keep it dark, and I try not to, in fact, if I read, before I go to bed, I try not to look at my phone or any of that kind of stuff, because it's a little stimulating. So I try and read. My own problem is some people say that reading puts them to sleep, but I actually, tell me if you're like this. I actually feel like I have to read the whole thing because I want to know what happens. That is my problem. I want instant gratification with my reading material. Anyway, but I try not to stimulate my brain. I like to take baths at night. And I like to drink something hot in the evening, a hot cup of tea, something that kind of settles me down. And that being said, it's still hard, but I understand the importance of it. So we need to work that out. I also, I think we need to make sure that we're feeding our soul. This especially, we are in the ministry, we are pastors, and it can be especially hard to discipline yourself to do those things. Because we don't have the benefit of going to a Sunday service and just soaking it in, But it's very, very important. And I think I have parts of that down. I will share sometime kind of my little routine of being quiet. That is one of my favorite things, is being quiet. But that is one thing that has been pressing on me to make sure that I am doing that, and also feeding my mind. It's very important to me to maintain some kind of creativity, some kind of learning. I'm a big history buff. Obviously, I do write history curriculum, so I am a big history buff, and I'm always doing some kind of research. So I've got big time research going on right now, so that's always fun for me. It's time consuming, but it's fun. But I think for me, it's the matter of putting myself in a place that I can take care of myself and worrying about myself and letting some of that other stuff go. I think I worry too much about my family, and I don't know how Mama can say that, but I think I worry. I was up, Troy, my husband, the muffin, he had some kind of upper respiratory stuff, and so I was up seeing what he needed and worrying about him and making sure he had what he needed, and he's like, "What are you doing? You need to go back to bed." It's like, I know, but I don't want you to be sick. How ridiculous is that? I got the flu, man. I feel like somebody's just beat me up. Anyway, so that constant guilt trip we put on ourselves, it's really awful. It's really awful. I think that I've come to the point that you have to kind of be ready. You kind of have to be ready to stop feeling sorry for yourself. I'm not saying I've been indulging in a huge pity party, but there's a little pity party involved, I think. But I think there comes a point where you have to just do what you need to do. And I think because of my nature, I'm a little more easygoing. I kind of have a vivid imagination, so it's easy for me to pretend away certain things. I think has been easy for me not to take manageable steps or tell myself, this is too hard right now. And believe me, I have every excuse in the world, but I've also been to a point, I had to learn to walk again. All right. Basically, I had to learn to walk again. I have had to push myself in so many different areas, and this is not a big old pat on the back for me, because believe me, if it weren't for Jesus is doing all this stuff. Because I don't know if I have it in me to live. And wow. I don't know if I'm going to leave this in, but even this morning through service, my son has been texting me, "Are you okay? How's your blood pressure doing?" He is 17, and his whole entire life he's had to worry about his mama. And that's guilt. That's guilt. I've talked about how I think it's made him a more compassionate person, but there's a lot of guilt involved in that. Anyway, I didn't intend to weep. Weepy. I think we'll blame it on the Tamiflu. Okay. But I think there comes a point where you say, okay, I by whatever means, I'm going to give the old gospel try. I'm going to give it the good old American try, and leave the rest in God's hands. And I think we all have to come to that point, and we have to be good to ourselves, even if it is making a list of everything that we need to do during the day, little love pats, little gentle love nudges for ourselves. I think we need to be intentional about that. And I tell you, there have been a lot of times in my life I've done that a whole lot better. So I think it's time to go take my makeup off my face and go snuggle up with maybe a hot cup of tea, because this girl's tired. This girl's tired of the flu. But I will talk at you again. Hopefully next time I won't cry at you. And I want to try and take you along this journey of mine. I've got a lot to weight to shed. I've got a lot of health issues to conquer. I've got some good plans in my pocket. I know what to do. And it's just a matter of just doing what I know to do and being faithful and consistent in that. And I know many of you out there, you don't know where to start. And you have to just start one thing at a time. One thing at a time. Take baby steps. Don't think you can overhaul your whole life. I've done this. I've survived. I have survived for years. I've survived when I should have been dead. So it's doable. And we just got to be good to ourselves. So I will stop pontificating and all that jazz. And I will see you later, my friends. Make sure you hug your people. Take some time to enjoy some things you love to do. And I will see you again. Bye-bye.